Hi everyone! So I've been vegan for over 7 years now, and today I will be discussing 7 things that veganism has taught me. Some of this can be partly attributed to the tendency to learn stuff as time passes, but I think that being vegan has really helped drive home these lessons for me. Let's get into it. Number 1, to think more critically and have proportional skepticism. This one is huge. I don't remember ever having a formal education in logic and reasoning. I didn't learn how to identify logical fallacies in school. The straw man, ad hom, and tu quo que fallacies were all concepts I learned after going vegan and hearing the same tired arguments over and over again. I'm pretty sure if you were to ask me what an appeal to nature fallacy was in high school, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But after hearing people argue ad nauseum that killing animals is fine because it's natural and lions do it, I became keenly aware of the appeal to nature fallacy. Along with sharpening my critical thinking skills, I also learned to have proportional skepticism. What I mean by this is it's crucial to be just as skeptical of the status quo as we are of fringe ideologies. Of course, some fringe beliefs, like the flat earth theory, can be rejected more quickly than others because they're so outrageously stupid. But complex political theories like communism, socialism, and anarchism should be analyzed thoroughly and properly understood before outright rejected. In the United States, we're taught to fear socialism and embrace neoliberal capitalism as the only way. I don't know enough about political theory to label myself at the moment, but if you watch my channel, you know I lean to the left. I'm just saying, we should apply the same degree of skepticism to what we're taught to accept as to what we're taught to dismiss. I saw how vegans were portrayed by the mainstream media as aggressive, militant extremists. And in recognizing that the literal opposite was true, I started to question the media's portrayal of other social justice movements. Maybe BLM isn't a terrorist organization. Maybe it is capitalism that is truly terrifying. People are often very skeptical of information coming from vegan sources, arguing that it's biased, but they fail to recognize their ingrained desire to eat meat bias. We often show factory farm and slaughterhouse footage, and people automatically assume that vegans are just cherry-picking a few isolated incidents to suit their agenda. They're more skeptical of vegans than they are of the meat industry. This is misguided. It's not that we shouldn't be skeptical of vegans, Antifa, or Marxists, but we should have proportional skepticism. Number 2, to not judge a movement based on its adherents, but rather its shared ideology. This one is so important. Seeing how often veganism is dismissed because of the behavior or beliefs of some vegans made me realize how crucial it is to judge a movement I'm unfamiliar with on what they collectively agree upon, rather than the behavior or beliefs of individuals who happen to identify with said movement. We shouldn't conflate strategies and tactics with goals. Advocates and activists for a cause never agree on strategies and tactics. A cause is defined by its shared goal. The underlying ideology of veganism is the rejection of speciesism. As per the definition of veganism, the shared goal of vegans is animal liberation. It's complicated because not all people who identify as vegan actually reject speciesism. Similarly, the shared belief of Christians is that Jesus is the Son of God and only through him can you achieve salvation. Of course, there are some people who identify as Christian and may pray to Jesus, but reject the idea that only through him can you achieve salvation. Christians aren't wrong to point out that Unitarians who call themselves Christian aren't actually Christian. Anyways, try to pinpoint what it is that almost all who identify with a certain ideology seem to agree upon. Fact-check these basic claims and evaluate from there whether or not you agree. The strategies, tactics, behavior, tone, or other beliefs of individual adherents are irrelevant. Number 3, to judge people for the whole of who they are and consider factors such as cultural indoctrination and cognitive biases. People are not simply good or bad. We are complex creatures. You can recognize someone's positive qualities and accept them for who they are as a person, without accepting or condoning their bigoted beliefs. If I judged people solely on the consequences of their beliefs and didn't take culture and psychology into consideration, I would view almost everyone as a monster and have to disown half my family. Veganism gave me perspective because while so many of my liberal and progressive friends were unfollowing and unfriending all their conservative friends and family on social media, I was over here like, imagine if I shut all of y'all out of my life because you aren't vegan. You would think I was a judgmental, self-righteous, intolerant bigot. Now imagine how all of the conservatives you cut out of your life view you. You're just reinforcing the false narrative that the left is so intolerant. This doesn't help, and it only leads to further polarization, in my opinion. I think people who loudly and proudly block their conservative friends have too high of standards for humanity. Like, we're just a bunch of dumb apes. Obviously, we should hold ourselves to a higher standard, but social progress takes time. You can't expect everyone who was raised in a patriarchal, racist, capitalist society to be woke. And look in the mirror, because if you're supporting the animal holocaust, you're not as woke as you think you are. Going vegan made me realize how heavily indoctrinated we've all been. We're each a product of our genetics and environment. You can't really fault people for being brainwashed. There are so many factors to consider when judging someone's character. Lacking knowledge or perspective on a few political issues is not enough to write someone off as a bad person, just as eating meat doesn't make someone a bad person. To properly judge someone's character, you have to look at their beliefs and actions in the aggregate. Otherwise, we're all damned. Number 4, to speak clearly and directly, but consider the optics. It is so important to speak up, even when your message is unpopular. Don't beat around the bush or water down your message to appease other people. Speak honestly, but at the same time, consider how your message will be received. The aim is to offend as few people as possible while still maintaining the integrity of your message. Veganism has taught me a lot about effective communication. I can't say I've mastered it, but I do believe my communication style has improved over the years. I've learned through experience what doesn't work. Considering veganism is still a fringe movement, we have to carefully consider and constantly reevaluate our communication strategies. We have to try our best to avoid playing into the aggressive, self-righteous, judgmental vegan stereotype. Although it annoys me that vegans are held to such a high standard, we're expected to be masters of nonviolent communication. I have internalized this to some degree. As much as I want to go on an unrestricted tirade at times, I've learned that restraint is a virtue. Unfortunately, some vegans internalize this so much that they're afraid to speak up at all. But staying silent does a disservice to the animals. Other vegans don't seem concerned at all about optics, and this does a disservice to animals as well. It's so important to find that balance, the happy medium between the two extremes. And this applies across the board. If the left wants to win, we have to speak clearly and directly, but also consider the optics. Number 5, to apply my own ethics consistently. For years as a vegan, I would preach about the importance of aligning our actions with our values, while still shopping at stores like H&M and Forever 21. It wasn't until I discovered Kristen Leo's channel that I realized how big of a hypocrite I was. The fast fashion industry is neither sustainable nor ethical, and in most cases, shopping secondhand is a clear alternative. So I vowed to stop buying new clothes as far as possible and practicable, because I could no longer justify it. If I'm going to insist that other people align their actions with their values, I should apply this standard to all areas of my life. Number 6, veganism taught me how to articulate the basis for morality. Before I went vegan, I had already rejected religion as the basis for morality. I considered myself a secular humanist. But going vegan helped me truly understand that the basis for morality is the well-being of conscious creatures. Sentience, the capacity to suffer, is what determines moral value. Ask a non-vegan secular humanist to define the basis for their moral system, and they'll walk right into a trap, unable to defend their food choices. Animal rights are the logical extension of human rights. You can't defend the notion of human rights without laying the groundwork for animal rights. Humans undeniably belong to the animal kingdom. We matter because we're sentient beings. And that brings me to my last point. Number 7, veganism expanded my vocabulary. I will admit, I didn't know what the word sentient meant before I went vegan. Add that to the list of other words like carnism, colostrum, cloaca, tempeh, seitan, nooch. If you've made it to the end of this video, drop a comment with a word you learned as a vegan. But seriously, veganism has expanded my horizons in so many ways. I'm curious what veganism has taught you. Let me know down below. Alright, peace out.
Yo, how when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me nah eat no fish, nah no meat now. How when me eat them, I wonder when me yam. When me tell them say that I'm a vegan man. How when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them